mūsų kitas kalbėtojas bus Karl Lennon, GROHE atstovas. Do we have Mr. Lennon? Yes, we do.
Right.
Water saving without compromising on performance.
Yes, yeah, of course.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, first off, great to join you all today, and I hope it finds you all safe at home. Myself, I'm in lockdown still here, so hopefully we get back to some normality soon. To introduce myself, my name is Karl Lennon. I'm part of GROHE's global project team, and I'm responsible for architects and designers across EMENA. And of course, we're happy to support you with your projects. If I could share my screen now and bring up the presentation, and we can make a start. So, as we mentioned, the topic of the presentation is water saving without compromising on performance. But first, perhaps I could give you some information about GROHE as a company. Okay, screen's frozen. Okay, so GROHE is Europe's largest sanitary brand, and we're headquartered in Düsseldorf in Germany. We have 5 manufacturing plants, 3 of which are still in Germany, so very much proud of our German heritage when it comes to manufacturing our products. When it comes to sustainability, GROHE has very much put this to the forefront of their beliefs. And of course, you'll see here flashing through on the screen just some of the key achievements and objectives that we have in the future. We were voted as the top 3 sustainable company in Germany in recent years. We have sustainability as a key brand value. We're always using smart technologies to improve sustainability within our products. And of course, like the topic of this presentation, water efficiency and energy saving is critical for us. And as a company, we go at the moment towards a zero carbon footprint as a carbon neutral company from 2020, and we will hope to do that with also in our products by 2050. So in terms of the topic today, first we want to look at why we need to save water, then perhaps the international accreditations that you may come across in your projects, and then of course how we can save water. So if we think about the world today and what we live in, we know that we have 70% of the earth covered with water, but only 3% of that is fit for human consumption, and 2/3 is frozen. So we find ourselves with a challenge. Unfortunately, there is no more fresh water left on our planet, and there's 7 billion of us to share it. And with increasing population, of course, this becomes a stark problem. So this here is a graphic that depicts just how much frozen water is on our planet and which is available to drink, which is quite a worrying image, if you ask me. This was a shot that I took whilst traveling a few years back in Las Vegas. I went to the Hoover Dam, and behind the Hoover Dam is Lake Mead. And this is a lake that provides water for the whole of the Nevada state and then also parts of California. And you can see here quite a striking line when it comes to water drop. And obviously now, as a region, they're having to understand how they can bring the levels back to somewhere near where they used to be. And by doing that, by saving water. We see here also that this is not just a problem in parts of the world, but affecting many, many parts. And worryingly for me here in London, we see ourselves in the top 10. We have a huge water waste in London itself, 25% waste rate, which is quite incredible when you think about it. So when it comes to water and the regulations around it, as a brand, we have to comply with just so many different accreditations around the world. Most of you will be familiar with BREEAM and LEED, I'm sure. In the UK, we have a RAS, which is something that forms as many of our projects. And then in different regions, we also see different criteria that we have to conform to. And when we look at water usage within the home, you can see here, quite alarmingly, a huge amount is used within the bathroom itself. 32% of it we flush straight away through our toilets. And 20% is used within the kitchen, whether that be through kitchen faucets, through the dishwashers, washing machines that we may place there. And 68% of that is in the bathroom itself. And you can see here many different outlets, which all forms part of that total. So for me today, what's really important is to share with you some of the international accreditations that we work to and we come to very regularly. LEED is something that's growing in Europe, originally based from the US. BREEAM is something, again, of British origin, but is very, very prominent within our projects. And ESTIDAMA, which is one you may not be so familiar with, is a system in the Middle East, which actually treats water even more preciously than some other. So when it comes to BREEAM, essentially, we're looking at around about 6% when it comes to category weightings for the products within a project, which is quite a small percentage when you put it in the context of, let's say, energy, which is much larger. And of course, there's a lot of emphasis pushed towards energy, as you can see here, with CO2 emissions giving the best ratings when it comes to the standard for BREEAM. Water consumption is important, but not as important within the life cycle of a project. When we look at LEED as an example, water efficiency creeps up a touch more, up to 10%, and is obviously more important within the grand scheme of things. And ESTIDAMA, it becomes even more important, 24% of their category weighting. The reason being is that this region is so reliant upon the process of desalinization to purify water such that it can be consumable within the home. And so here we find ourselves working against the very tightest regulations. And when we look at, as an example, a residential project, you can just see here the different requirements when it comes to public, private and kitchen spaces. We're showing here the litres per minute that faucet would run through at to achieve the standard within those different ratings. And what's very interesting, if you look toward the public space for taps, as an example, 1.5 litres per minute is a lot less water than the general 6 litres per minute that a tap would normally flush through at. And of course, what's important is that we don't compromise, let's say, on the quality and the feel of water on our hands when we're washing. So what can we do? There's many measures that we could look toward. And of course, most of these you will have come across within your projects, but I'd like to show some of them in case you haven't seen before. So within the kitchen, we at GROHE provide products normally that flush through at 6 litres per minute in terms of water. And we feel effectively you could reduce that down to 4.8 litres per minute without any real compromise on performance. And obviously there'd be a saving. Similarly with showering, the issue we have generally in the UK is you have lots of pressure fluctuations. And of course, what we don't want to compromise in a shower is experience. So with a hand shower per se, it would be very possible to take that down to 7.5 litres per minute and still have that weight and feel of water on you. But with a head shower, and especially these large rain showers that we see now, really 9.5 litres is acceptable without having a sort of a lessened experience, let's say, when it comes to that. We make many shower systems, as you can imagine, and they are general rules that we put across the product lines that we carry. Similarly to the kitchen faucet, a bathroom faucet also could be adapted down to 4.8 litres per minute. And interestingly for you all, GROHE makes products such that they are all adaptable to conform to the regulations. An interesting part here as well, and again, most of us will have tried to run a bathtub without wasting water. Just by including a thermostatic bath filler, you most definitely can regulate the temperature better, and means that you don't have to waste water adding a little more hot, adding a little more cold to get the right temperature for you to jump in. So an incredible feature, thermostatic controls, and something that we have as mandatory actually now in the UK for any new build projects. Another added benefit and feature to this product is that it has what we call cool touch technology. We see a lot of injuries within the home in the bath area, and GROHE noticed this a long while back now and designed a product such that when water comes into the product, the actual cold water is flushed around the perimeter of the mixer itself, meaning that you could touch it with your hand and not scald yourself. And we see this as a terrible problem, mainly with the young and the elderly sector. Flow restrictors obviously can be implemented in almost every product that we carry. These will lessen the amount of water that comes through the product itself. So typically, as I said, we would be around about 6 litres per minute, and you can adapt the products to around about 4.5 litres without compromising on the performance. And of course, with the ester downer projects, we have to take it down further still to maybe somewhere around the 1.5 litre mark, and of which all of these products would be integrated into our mixers. Perhaps a little more efficient in the way they work would be a flow regulator. So a flow regulator, not only does it, lessen the amount of water that you use, but it compensates for pressure fluctuations. So as an example, if you were staying in a hotel and 10 rooms within that hotel were connected to the same mains outlet, room 1 and room 10 in the chain would have exactly the same experience. Whereas with a restrictor, the likelihood is room 1, which gets the first flow of water, would have a more improved usage than in room 10. So this really does adapt and allow, and it kind of works like a hose pipe. If you were to press on a hose pipe, it just slows that water but maintains the pressure coming through to it. Other solutions would be flushing. Important to mention with flushing is that, of course, a lot of our systems within our big cities are designed to take a certain amount of water to flush waste away. Now we provide products that flush through at 4 and at 6 litres, which can be adapted down still further. But what's really important is that we manage the project and understand the function of the building. We've had experiences in the past where we've been asked to take water down further still, but of course, soil pipes and so on within the construction of an older building, let's say, really don't accommodate taking the water down. So it's really about learning where we can save and where it's best to do that. Of course, within projects, another solution would be rainwater harvesting, grey water recycling, fabulous technology that can be used within any development. Of course, it has an element of upkeep and maintenance that needs to go with it, but we're seeing these sort of increasingly used within our projects in order to save water. And I remember joining a call recently with some colleagues in South Africa who have had a tremendous situation in Cape Town, where they're often reusing bath water, basin water through for the irrigation of their gardens and so on. And that's become a mandatory situation, which is a daily challenge for them all. Composting toilets, a fabulous innovation, waterless in their own way. And of course, this is not something that's carried by us, but we're very mindful that there aren't just GROHE products, but others outside that can contribute to savings also. I recently visited a huge, I'm trying to think of the word now, sort of garden in the south of the UK called the Eden Project, which has these fabulous, big greenhouses, and the whole site is using composting toilets. So they're becoming more prominent in commercial projects. And if I'd have shown you this slide a few years ago, the images that we had against what we have now were quite different. So that the development of these products has been quite significant. When you look to washrooms, of course, what's really important is using water, perhaps more now than ever, when you need it. So these automatic sensor taps, once you pass your hands underneath them, will automatically dispense water and then shut off as soon as you finish them. You know, great use of water without wasting when not in use, because many of us will have been through a car service station and seen a running tap that hasn't been turned off. This situation is much preventative of that. Another great innovation, there's actually two here on the screen. On the left-hand side, you can see a rechargeable storage unit, acts like a turbine that goes under the counter. So when water passes through, it actually recharges the electronics that are within the basin mixer itself. So it's a self-supporting system. And you can see there, with just 60 seconds of use, it provides 24 hours of power. So a beautiful innovation in technology. And then on the right side, again, saving in a slightly different way. Most people will know with urinals to have the flush plate on the wall that's infrared sensor. The issue you have with these is sometimes in public spaces, let's say, like a football match, you have all of these people congregate to the bathrooms during the game, and they walk past, and of course the sensor flushes the urinal. With the temperature sensor, that doesn't happen. You basically will only flush the toilet when it senses a temperature increase on the ceramic itself. And it's a hidden product as well, so you're not seeing a faceplate on the wall, which is a nice aesthetical point as well too. Of course, at GROHE, we also have carry products like the Sensia Arena. This is a product that actually is designed to save water as well as paper. This is a washlet, and you'll see these very prominently in the Asian region, but increasingly more so in Europe. The product was designed rather than using the weight of water, the amount of water, but to use force of water to clear the pan. So we actually fitted these with what we call triple vortex flush that had 3 entry points of water rather than the single point, which created a cyclone at the bottom of the pan to clear it much more efficiently. And of course, as well, the new ceramic technologies that we have, which are treated and glazed in certain ways, actually allows for much cleaner and usage of the WC, meaning that, you know, in most occasions you wouldn't need to flush twice. And in terms of the savings of paper, you can just see here some of the statistics, which are vitally important when it comes to, you know, to sustainability more generally as well too. I guess one of our sort of hero products when it comes to water saving is our Growler Blue. For those of you who aren't aware of Growler Blue is a drinking water system that provides still filtered water, lightly sparkling and sparkling. Now, the idea behind this is that within the making of bottled water, you use 7 liters to create just that 1 liter. With Grower system, it's a 1-for-1. It's like for like. And not only that, you also have far less CO2 used in the process of making that too. So a huge saving on water, a great initiative. And of course, you know, for us, promotes the wellness. And this is just an image of the product. It has a digital display on the side of the tap, which you can press down to use the chilled, filtered or sparkling water. And it has a small PC unit that goes under the counter, and that is very easily maintained by an end user or a maintenance team within an office building, let's say, if you have that version of the product. Too close to our heart, and I mentioned at the start, you know, using different technologies to save water is of incredible importance to us. So we developed a product a couple of years back called Sense, which is a small puck device which actually senses the leakage of water. So you could place it underneath your kitchen cabinet or into you know, a bathroom, and if water passes underneath the item, it would send a notification to your phone through an app to tell you you had a water situation. Well, that's great, of course, but what's really important is that we stop the leakage. So we also developed a new product called the GROHE Sense Guard, which was connected to the same app. And when it spotted these imperfections in performance, it would shut the water system down so that no further water was lost within the property itself. And it's a self-monitoring system that looks at humidity within the property, looks at temperature fluctuations, and tracks many things there too. So in terms of the presentation here, we've looked at why we need to save water and the sort of global standards that we have to meet. And then, of course, there's a number of different technologies that we can do to save water. But the way we look at it here at GROHE is that we have many products, all of which are helpful in this process, but there's not one silver bullet that will stop us there. So I'd like to thank you for your time, and hopefully if you have some questions, we can answer them now.
Well, because of the certain delay of our broadcast, I don't have any questions from the public, but I cannot help but notice that all of the presentations today are revolving around the same topic of less is more, around the topic of less visible technologies and less visible or less used resources. So whilst waiting for the questions from the public, if they manage to be here, I have a rather hypothetical question, or rhetorical question rather. Do you think, or is there any explanation about how in Europe, how using less water, let's say in Lithuania, we are contributing to the savings of the water in the UK or São Paulo, for instance, because it's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, as a brand grower, we feel a very strong obligation to manage water use within projects. And so what we try to do, I guess, as a company is sort of control centrally from our headquarters our impact as a brand. And we do that by sort of standardizing water saving within products across all different ranges, whether it's flushing or shower systems, basin mixers. And the idea then is that we support the markets, the projects that are developed in Lithuania or in Australia or in Asia, such that water saving is almost not thought of in some cases, because it's already integrated within the products themselves. Regionally, of course, you know, saving water has an impact. I think, you know, I did a study recently on the Middle East, which was you know, quite alarming, really, because of course they have no fresh water in the region at all, and that is an incredible challenge because it comes at a cost as well. And of course, if we're trying to be more sort of efficient with the way we work in projects, costs is something we have to consider too. So for me, yeah, I don't think that, like I said at the end of the presentation, there's not sort of one way that we're going to do this and work collectively for everybody, but there's many different ways that everybody should be integrating within their projects, and some of which, you know, are considered and some are not.
Okay, so I see that the viewers have finally caught up with us, and so we have several questions. Some of them are rather concrete and some broader. So from Darius Luknevičius, we have a question: sensor-controlled automatic shower heads, fashion, useful, or a waste of money?
It depends, I guess, on the project type that you're working in. You know, if it's a gym, let's say, and you have sensor activation for showers, then of course that would be great, because they typically not only use less water but tend to use less power as well. But yeah, I mean, again, really a lot of it goes down to the user as well. I mean, I'm constantly telling my kids to turn the tap off when they're brushing their teeth. But that's just part of the education of the world itself, I guess, and learning how to use water more efficiently.
In your opinion, from Anonymous, in your opinion, how traditional bathroom design solutions will change in 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, we've been discussing this a lot at GROHE recently. I think we're seeing a big, strong movement towards touchless products, not just in the commercial projects that we work on or hospitality projects, but also in the home itself. Of course, that will sort of mitigate people touching the devices, which of course is more hygienic. When we launched Sensi Arena, the washlet toilet I showed you through the presentation, I mean, the whole idea around that product is that it's very low maintenance and almost has zero touch points at all. And that's for us, you know, going to be sort of critical focus. And then, of course, in the sort of the design line, I guess we've seen a lot more incorporation of color with products. We've showed some within the presentation itself, but also as well, sort of more streamlined, slender lines. This year, we launched our very first 3D printed faucet, which was an incredible step forward in technology, not just in appearance, and it almost become illusional to see how the product worked itself. But that has a further impact, not just on the product and how it looks, but also on how we work, you know, how our factories operate, because of course it's not the same production situation that you have with the current factories we have at GROHE. You know, you as a designer could, let's say, design a faucet alongside us. We can 3D print a prototype, share it with you, and then in the future you may have your own faucet that you've designed. I don't think that's going to happen immediately, but perhaps in the not too distant future, hopefully.
And also a quick one about more immediate future. What's the most important trend will be this year, and when we are talking about bathroom and kitchen water system? In other words, do you have any important products rolling out this year yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, there's no. I mean, again, a lot of the products that we launch typically are done on 2-year cycles. So we actually almost toward the end of that 2-year cycle, and at the beginning of 2021, you'll see a whole heap of new products from GROHE, most of which is kept completely away from salespeople like me to get architects and designers excited, because of course salespeople sell anything that they can. But yeah, we see definitely more inclusion of color with their products. We think that will spread also to the touchless part of the bathroom, because at the moment we're ourselves really showing those in Chrome. Yeah, I think you'll see lots more of these water systems, and GROHE's philosophy at the moment is really to become the full bathroom solution, so that we become your one-stop shop, let's say, for projects. We added ceramics, bathtubs, we have the flushing systems, the faucets, the accessories, really a fully considered approach when it comes to a bathroom. So I think you'll start to see that bundled together more for sure.
Okay, I have to thank you for this very extremely interesting presentation, and we are very much looking forward to the next year and all the important and nice ideas that you will be showing us some other time. And now we will